Okay, so we got two new guys. So the idea here is that I try to go over the sprint challenge, and then we'll also go over some React router for today and try to hit all the big points. You don't have to have your camera on if you want. It's usually gets in the way of the screen anyway. So, yeah, let's see if we can get started. So the idea here is I usually start off with just an absolute blank application. And deleted everything off of here. So we don't have anything in our app other than this div class app, which is here. And this is just a straight create React app. We didn't do anything crazy with this. So the first thing that we're going to need is we're going to need to grab Axios because we don't have Axios in our dependencies. So we will do a npm I Axios. This is the same thing as if you typed install, but I'm lazy. So after we do that, you should see Axios appear above React. So what this does is whenever we have a npm start, all of these libraries are active on our React app or whichever node application we're making. So if it's in here, you could do import Axios from Axios. This from Axios is actually coming from this package, and it lives in the node modules folder under Axios. See if I find it. Any questions? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Everybody hits this part. We're good. Okay, cool. What about you, Kevin? Good?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, so far, so good.
Excellent. So now that we've got Axios installed, I'm going to need a slice of state and a use effect in order to do my Axios call. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import, a non export default of use effect and use state. And we're going to get these from React. The second thing I'm going to need is an import Axios, if I can spell it. I'm dyslexic tonight. From Axios. So again, with this Axios, it gets it from this this up here, wherever that is. Let me shrink this down, but from your Axios and node modules. So today we're going to kind of do the Rick and Morty again. You guys weren't here for the other one, or maybe I guess I dropped the sprint review last time. But this will be kind of a little more of a Cliff Notes version, just to kind of go over anything you might have missed or have a misconception about. And feel free to stop me at any time. This is the best time to ask questions before we get into this next week. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a new variable, and it's actually going to be two variables. The first one is just going to be, I like to use data and set data. And we're going to just use state. I don't know why I put an arrow function there. Use state is going to just be an array for right now. So what data and set data do is data is going to hold whatever comes back from Axios, and set data is how we're going to set it from Axios. And of course, your use effect. Now, use effect takes a callback, And for its second argument, it takes an array. So this is what they call a dependency array, and this is just, your callback. So what this is going to do is in React, you have more than one render to the virtual DOM. So it goes through and renders everything that's in here first, and it doesn't stick it on the screen yet. So it's just kind of sitting there in memory, but it hasn't written it to the screen yet. And what useEffect does in this specific case is it waits until it's rendered once, and then when it goes through and finishes that first render, it says, hey, I've got a useEffect. It runs that useEffect last, and then it overwrites any data, and it says, hey, because we use the set data, it tells React that it needs to re-render, because the set data does more than just sets the data in here. It tells React, hey, there's been a change. You might want to look at something. So what it then does is anything that has data in it, the variable data, it is going to update that variable with the new data. So now we need to use an axios.get. So the axios.get is going to have some sort of a web address in here. And since it returns a promise, we can then use a .then. And the .then just takes a callback like that. And we want to name the variable that Axios is going to be putting into here. So this is our name, and most people just put res because it makes perfect sense. And I always just console log it. And in this case, it's res.data is what we're looking for. So let's go back over here, and we're going to look at the Rick and Morty API. And basically, this is all stuff driven from the Rick and Morty API. So it's kind of nice. You can see they've got photos and maybe slightly interesting information about Rick and Morty. And if I go to docs, they have all kinds of documentation on here for character schema, which is the only one that I'm really interested in. Location's fine, but it's boring. So is the episode. But if I go here to get all characters, it's going to give me the magic address right here that I can just copy. So https://rickandmortyapi.com/API/character. So now I can just paste this in here, save this. I cannot find index.js. I think I may have to restart this. I think I deleted index.js. Wait a second. Hold on, what's going on here? Give me 1 second. Something's exploded and I got to figure out what. Failed to compile, cannot find file index.js, does not match corresponding name on disk. We have an index.js. It was running. Hey, guess what? I broke it.
I actually did this on my sprint challenge. Something similar. I had to delete it all and re-download it.
Re-download it. So what I'm going to do is nuke this. I'm going to blow up the node modules and the package lock JSON and then have it reinstall. If I can get the server to quit. Let's see if this will allow me to delete it while it's running. Gotta love computers. Never work when you want them to. No, there we go. It finally nuked, so that's good. So we're gonna do an NPMI. This might take a little while. I don't have very fast internet. And this will rebuild the node modules and the package lock JSON file when we do this NPMI. So deleting them isn't that big of a deal. And we'll try running it again, see if it's still exploding. All right, let's see if this wants to restart. And it still doesn't like me. What else do we have here? So we've got, we'll go ahead and import React. See if that helps. Start node. Dude, that is really weird because it's saying that there is no index.js on node modules React. So if I go into node modules, yeah, that's got a capital R. Did something happen in here? It's weird. Oh, you guys want me to just blow this stupid thing away? We can do that.
This may not mean anything, but would dot catch maybe do something or not?
Maybe it might. Do I guess we probably should try troubleshooting it by commenting out some code or something. Yeah, still can't find out. Let's go and just comment this out. Save it. Can't figure that out, so we'll delete that, save that, delete these, save that. Something like that. So something about our imports. So let's take out Axios. Okay, so something about this. See, it's got a capital R. There we go. So even I can make a mistake. Totally possible. Yeah, need to wrap this in quotes. All right. Good call. Have to start everything from scratch again. Okay, whatever. So getting back on track. Now we've got it where it should be console logging res data. Let's go and refresh this. Move that over a little bit. If I go to inspect and console, we're getting back an object. It even says it's an object. That's kind of nice. And it's got two key value pairs. We got info and results. So it looks like our results is the array that we're looking for. let's go back over here, and we're going to set our data as res.data.results. Okay. So if we open up this, so we've got res is this object, so that's res.data, and then dot results. So we got res.data dot results gives us our array of information that is usable and fun to play with. So collapse this node modules thing up here. So if I do a new folder components, I spelled that correctly. Can't seem to spell anything today. And we do one called characters.jsx, and JS versus JSX. JSX just has some interesting linting on most of the VS Code things. It runs just like a JS file, but when you're typing things in like a div or whatever, you can use some of the ESLint shortcuts. That's the biggest thing. So typically you need three things. You need an import, a function, and an export. Inside of that function, you need some sort of a return. Otherwise it breaks and explodes and basically just pukes up everywhere. And I think version 17 and newer, I always forget. I swear I'm going to kill this linter one of these days. I don't think you actually need import React from React anymore, but I still put it in there mostly because anything that I do at work is old. And I think there's still, running an older version of React that doesn't support it because I'll get errors if I try to use it at work. So I still do it out of habit, and it's kind of nice to know that. Probably by the time you guys are out in the workforce and everything, you won't have to worry about it. But for right now, hey, at least you know that it can be used. It doesn't hurt anything. It gets compiled out anyway, so it should be fine. The next thing I need is a new variable. We're going to call this characters. Please note that we have it as plural. And we're going to set this as a new function that returns just some fragments, so not much of anything. And I'm just going to say characters. And then the last thing that we need, I need a return, not returns. Did I mention I can't spell today? And then we're going to need an export. All right. So this is a complete component that does basically nothing but just outputs characters, and that's it. It's fancy. So in here, I'm going to want to import characters, and we're going to just kind of render characters right here. Now we have characters. Fantastic. Super boring, right? So if I go to, not head, I want body. So we'll open up body, div ID root. We have class app, characters. Super fancy. But now we can start doing some more interesting things like passing in props, like data equals data. So now we've got props.data here, and it's equal to whatever's in this variable that came from this stuff here. So let's save this. Still don't do anything in here, so we need to call this props. You can call this Banana, nobody cares. Props is just what everybody calls it. So if I
Props
console,
sorry,
go ahead.
is props short for properties?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So all props is just an object. That's everybody freaks out about props. There's nothing fancy about it. Let me refresh this so it stops. So what you'll notice is when we go back here to app, you'll notice that this this right here started with an array of nothing. So our first time through, we started with an array of nothing. Remember how I keep saying it renders twice? And then the use effect hits and it renders again. And it said, hey, you know what? Characters uses data. Let me rerun characters. And so it gets to this console log in characters JSX line 4. And now we have props.data. So if we wanted to destructure this a little bit so we don't have to start typing props.data all the time, all we need to do is do const. We know that props is an object, so we're going to use object notation, and we're going to do data. Yep. See, I keep doing this arrow function thing, and I don't know why. And we're going to do props. So if there is a, say, a props.data, this would be the same thing as doing const data equals props.data. It's the exact same thing. You're just, you know, shortcutting it by putting these curly brackets on here and naming it the same as what the dot is. Did I lose anybody? I know I only have 2 of you guys, but good, cool. So we now have a variable named data. So we can do something with this. That's kind of cool. So instead of us having just a fragment, let's do a section. I think I'll move this down. Let's see here. So characters doesn't really mean anything to me. We're just going to say, say H1. And that's that linter I was telling you about. If you're in a JSX file, you can just hit H1 tab, and then it comes out with H1 without you having to type a whole bunch of stuff. So that's kind of a nice thing. If we were to call this Rick and Morty API, something like that, right? So we could probably, at this point, have something, I don't know, maybe like a little loop here. So we're going to break out of JSX mode by doing curly brackets. And we're going to go to, oh, I don't know. I guess we're going to do a loop on data. So we're going to map over that. So that returns elements that will just be append child into this section right here. So if we do a data.map, and we're going to need a callback, and we're probably just going to call this character because it's an individual character. And because we're going to be returning JSX, we want to use parentheses instead of curly brackets. So that way you don't need to do a return statement. So if you used curly brackets, you would do return space and then do the return, kind of like, you know, up here. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to just do this right here without going into another component yet, and we'll we'll destructure this into another component here in a little bit. I just want to get something out on paper right quick. So probably what we're going to want is an article. And we're going to need a key on this. And on this key, if we look through the data, we need something unique, like I don't know, an ID. That sounds like we could probably use that. So it would be character.id in this case. Right. And then we probably want like an H2 with character.name, and then maybe an image with it's character.image. Let me take a look. Oh yeah, character.image, and then we'll do character.name in the alt tag as well. And I also see a mistake that I made. So the mistake that I made right here is this will just output character.name. It won't output anything from the JavaScript side because we don't have it wrapped in curly brackets. So we have to escape out into JavaScript land and put in this character name. I lost everybody yet?
No, I'm tracking. I do have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Why is there not a $sign in front of the curly brackets?
Because this isn't interpolating a string. We're just outputting straight the character name with nothing else.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. So you would notice like if we had like, like backticks here, you'd have like backticks and then, like a $sign curly bracket like that. That's the exact same thing as what we're doing here. But if you wanted to put more text in there, then yeah, you would do it that way. So we'll go ahead and save that. And if we come back over here, you'll notice we have some Rick and Morty characters. It's not very styled very well, but it's there, sort of. So that's pretty much everything that was on the test. I'm still going to decompose or put another component in here and just call it character. And so this will effectively just be, all of this stuff here. So copy that. We're going to paste this. We're going to rename this from character or characters to character. And we're not going to have a section or this map or any of that stuff there. We're just going to have just this article. Right click, format document. Always makes things look so much prettier. So instead of data, because we're going to need to pass in character, we're just going to call this character. So our props, we're going to be sending in a character object, or yeah, a character object. It's going to destructure it and call it character for the character name. And we can do character.id, character name. Say, I don't think that we actually need that one there because we don't need to put an ID on that. We're going to need to put it on the other one. We're going to have an H2 named character name and an image underneath it. And then just return an article. So we'll go ahead and save that one. On here, we're going to need to import character. And we're going to just replace this one here with character. Go to the end, slash it, and then get rid of all this other junk. So now, because there's only one thing here, we can actually get rid of this parentheses. here. Move this up to that line right there. It just makes it kind of cleaner. So this is your default return now. So if I save this, didn't explode. Oh, it did explode. Let's see here. Can I read properties of undefined? Oh yeah, we didn't pass any props. We still need to pass in character. Character, and we're going to pass in the character that comes from right here. Now it shouldn't be exploded. Yay, we're back to normalness. All right. Let's refresh, and you can see each time that it goes into the character.jsx, it's outputting it 20 freaking times of that same data. So I'm just going to leave those up because it shows the trail of shame here. Technically, you probably want to remove your console logs at this point because you know that it works. You don't really need to have that information, but it's kind of nice to have it because you can just grab something and say, oh, what was the structure of this, and take a look. Okay, yeah, so male or female. So, all right, cool. So yeah, that's effectively the entire sprint, I think. Now, a lot of the times the sprint is very specific that they want you to have where it literally just says a name in here. Like they don't want you to concatenate strings or anything. They just want a name somewhere in there. So be very careful with how they word things because tests are fragile. They're not smart enough to know anything. They're downright stupid 99% of the time. So, okay, so any questions on sprint review? I'm going to say that's a no.
Oh, does prevent default works for not having it render so many times, or just getting rid of the console log is just fine?
So like prevent default would be more like something you would use with a button. So like
Okay.
if you have a button that you click, its default behavior is to refresh the page. So if you prevent default, it no longer refreshes the page, which is beneficial in a single page app that doesn't need to be refreshed.
Mhm.
So because you're changing information on the page, state on the page, you're not wanting to refresh the page and base your new data off of what you sent itself on the URL bar. That it's an old way of doing things.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for going through this.
Oh yeah,
that was
no
very
problem.
thorough.
So now that I have a character and a characters, we could probably start doing some React router. So one of my favorite resources is this React training blog post from React Router 5.1, because this gives me 99% of React Router in one blog post. So they like to show you the old way of doing things, like this this use params versus match. So like used to, you would have this render match blog post match horribleness. And so match is basically this path right here. So it's looking for this colon slug, and that becomes a variable name. So let slug, and it's destructuring this from match params, is this thing. So that's like the old way of doing it. This is like React Router 4 syntax. And what they did was they restructured it to this. So now they have this use params. And notice how now this function, we don't have to pass props in here anymore. We can just use params and destructure the variable name here, so slug. So if this was ID, then this would be ID here. So these two have to match. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, I think all we need is React Router DOM. Let me the React Router thing, because I think it has two. You got React Router, which has like the link and stuff. So like all this stuff is the React-y type stuff. So elements and history and route, I guess, is there. And then React Router DOM is, well, I guess you do just have kind of like the one thing. So that one does have link in there. I'm gonna copy that and we'll run it. Keep thinking that they've made some changes, but we're just gonna install React Router DOM and go from there. I think it's gonna be the exact same thing. So I'm going to restart my server just in case. If it will still die. Or not. I'm just going to continue programming on, waiting for that thing to die. Weird. I'm used to Control-C being a little bit more responsive than that. Always fun. Have you ever noticed if you ever do anything live, it's like it's never quite as good as if you like plan it out. And I'm always like wondering how those YouTubers can do it. And they're like, yeah, and let's make, you know, Minecraft in 5 minutes. And you're just like, oh, I want to kill you. Hey, there we go. Finally died. So we're going to restart it. And don't really care about that one. All right, cool. So we haven't broken it by installing this, so we're probably good. So typically you're going to put your router as high up as you can get it. And so we're going to be doing this browser router. There's also like hash router and other things. Nobody uses hash router. If they do, then they're, I don't know, as old as I am, I guess. Who knows? So browser router as router from React Router DOM. I'm going to put this into my index.js, and I'm going to put this inside of my strict mode. So we're going to call this router. Come on now. And we're going to do, well, I guess we put that underneath. Like that. So now we have wrapped our app and router. And if we don't have this here and you try to go to a different path, it just won't work. I don't think it's actually throws any errors. Maybe we can play with that later if we need to. And we're going to put this. Like that. I should stop it from exploding. Good, it still renders just what we would need, right? So I think we're pretty much done with index.js. We probably want a, I'm going to say we're probably going to want a link on this because I don't feel like making our own header class. So we're probably just going to go in here and do like let me do that. And we'll do nav. Yeah. And we'll do link. So all a link tag is like an anchor tag. It goes back to whatever's on there. So link to slash just takes us back to this localhost 3000. We also need to import that. All right, so if I save this and wait for it to recompile, crash. Sort of expecting to have a link to home here. Let's look at the elements. App header, nav, and link. Is it up higher? Oh, there it is. Jeez, I hadn't scrolled up. That's horrible. All right, so if I click on home, it goes back home. You just can't tell because, well, there's only one route. So it's kind of boring. And so what we can do is down here where we have like character data. I mean, this should look really familiar from today's movie project. Like everybody's, whenever I do this, they're like, really? This is like exactly the same as the movie project. But the movies project is exactly what you did on the sprint, except with React router assigned to it. So we're going to need to have a route, capital R route. And I think technically they got rid of switch, but I'm going to do it the way that they show it here. So no, it's a router. Then you've got the switch, and then you've got the routes. The routers on our in our index, we need a switch, and then we need a route. So I'm going to put in a switch first. And as I said, I think they got rid of the switch. It's just there for backwards compatibility, I guess. Should get slash switch. Tap that in. All right, cool. So if we look here, you can see that we have this path, right? Now let me go to the new syntax. So we got this path hosts slug thing, right? And we're going to do path, and we're going to equal this to and we're going to say ID, because slug, it's called a slug, but ID sounds better, right? So if we go to character/ID, it would technically go to characters, which isn't exactly what we want. So we're just going to kind of copy this. Yes, I say don't copy pasta, and we're going to just make it so it kind of goes to here. So if I save this, route, I need to still do route and switch. So remember to do your imports. Switch is not exported from React router DOM. Oh no, did I forget something? I'm not doing commas. It says switch. Freaky. Yeah, you should ignore almost everything that I say, right? Yeah, that should be there. I'm gonna go ahead and do React router. So and let's see if it allows it from React router. Yeah, so React router is there, but React router DOM. Link here. All right, so they're just from two separate libraries. Oh man, I swear I'm going to kill it. Can we just get rid of switch? I keep telling you that the route doesn't exist anymore. And then I go through and, or sorry, switch doesn't exist anymore. We're going to route. And I'm going to just get rid of switch because who knows why. See if it finally compiles. All right. And no, I don't remember exactly what switch does because I've already done a route. Let me see. Did I do route instead of router? Let me do. And that's in routes. What on earth? Am I just in like some really like parallel universe today or something? This is horrible. Yeah, so browser router as router. We've got route. We're on React router DOM. Yeah, we've got browser router as router. And we have our route. That's all that we need. Why don't he like me? I don't know. Did you guys run into that?
I was gonna say, well, I figured it out, but I was gonna say you need don't you need router? But then you already put router with
Yeah.
the app, so that just already does that.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I need to like move. This is really ugly looking code, but that's what we have format document for. All right, let's see if we put router outside of strict mode and see what that does. Dude, I have never seen that error before. All right, let's copy this. I'm gonna Google this because I don't think I've ever seen this. Let's see here. Yeah, React Router DOM version 6, bit different. So I guess we're running React Router DOM version 6 right now. So they have routes instead of switch. Maybe that's what I heard about. That's I guess what. So we're gonna go back over here and we're gonna do routes. And then we're gonna wrap this in routes because welcome to the future, right? Oh, sorry, routes. And see if that renders because yeah, see, it still doesn't like that. Yeah, all components children of routes must be a route or a React fragment. So we need to wrap something. That's just really weird. This does. Dude, we're just gonna downgrade this thing because like I bet you if I go over here, this is like package JSON. We've got version 6 here. So yeah, we're gonna do because I don't know what I'm doing with the latest version 6.01 because I don't know. We're going to go back to 5.1 because that's what I like using. And remove. So I did React Router. Okay, so we're going to do React Router DOM. All right, cool. All right, so now if we wanted to, I'm going to show you how to install React Router at a different version. So we're going to do npm install React Router DOM at, and then we're going to use 5.1. Okay, so now we've got React Router version 5.1 installed. Oh, there goes the sneeze. And we're going to change this to switch like we should have already. And I guess I probably could have gotten here and done a switch on that one. All right, let's see if this explodes. Oh, I swear. Have I just like gone to another parallel universe or something? It's horrible. Yeah, they updated it 3 days ago. Thank you. So I guess they're going to call it React Router this time. Get rid of the DOM. Yeah, all the core functionality of that. So you just need React Router. Homepage. Getting started guide. There we go. So browser router, you've got routes with route. They've got this element thing. Oh, so I guess they're putting the element in here. So you've got to do element equals that is the thing. Hey, guess what? They change everything like all the time. Yeah, so they've got the element equals. So instead of making it so it makes sense, we're going to have to just do the way that they're teaching us the new way. So, all right. So you guys are learning React Router version 6 because reasons. So routes. So we don't need a fragment here. And this would be a route.
So routes and then the end fragment as well.
Yeah. And then, so we're not going to have this slash route here. The route is actually going to be ending like this. And element or elements, element is equal to this. So this is the new as of 3 days ago. Thank God that that wasn't on your sprint. I would have never gotten through the night. All right, so now we've got the correct syntax to do this, and routes. All right, and we need to install React Router. So npm install React Router. And oh, hush. We need to go up here and change React Router DOM and change React Router DOM. Browser router is not exported from React router. Yeah, so they want us to do React router DOM. God, I swear they're going to be the death of me. No, sorry, npmi. Roll the Benny Hill music. You're as old as I am, you would understand the joke. All right. Hey, we're back to not broken. So if I go to character, yeah, so now it's going to that route. If I click on home, it goes back to the same thing because, well, it's the same thing. So if I wanted to make the character that's in here a button, so make it so that this article is actually an anchor, or we wrap this here in an anchor tag. Then, and this is eventually going to be a link, but something like, and then you did, yeah, I guess this would be a backtick. So we'd have to wrap this here. There. All right. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to pass in a number that refers to this character. So we want to do slash character and then $ curly brackets because we're wanting to put a number there. So we're going to do character.id like that. So what this is going to do is like on Rick here. Not alien Rick. We're going to go to Rick. So Rick is ID number 1. So this is going to go to when we render this. This is going to go to character slash character slash 1. And it's still not going to do anything because we're not rendering it into something that actually makes sense. It's just this. But the other thing that we want to do is improt. We're going to want to do link. Yeah, router DOM. Still a little bit surly about that. Dare you embarrass me, React router? How dare I not know which version I'm running either? All right, so now we have links. All we need to do is just change this to link, this to 2, and this to link, right? Because it's just an anchor tag. So if we save this, see if it exploded. Now this is all a link. If we inspect this element here, notice how it got turned into an anchor tag. So it's href character 1. And we open up this next one, it's character 2. I mean, it's really not hard. It's just sticking a number. So that's where use param is going to come into. And now we get into yet another Axios call because reasons. So we're going to make a new component. You guys are going to hate making components by the end of the second month of doing this. So that's a very, what does this function do? Or what does that file do? It gets a character, right? So import React from React No, that is not what I typed. Did I tell you I want to axe murder this linter sometimes? There. What else do we have? We need a const. We're going to call this get character. And this is going to be set to a function. We don't even need props in here because we're not passing anything to it. It's a link. And a return. And we need an export. And I typed today. All right, cool. So we have, we have get character. So if we want to put this back into app, we want to do it on this one, right? So we're going to do get character. We're not passing any data in. We don't care about the data. Yeah, so we're going to save that. Oh, we need to import it still. Imagine that. Let me move this up a line. And now it's not broken. So now if I click on, say, Rick Sanchez, now we're in get character. So it just did a route to yet another component. So what we're going to need is our good friend, this React training that's not totally accurate anymore. Thank you. And we're going to do this use params trick because I'm pretty sure this isn't broken. So we're going to import use params. And we're just going to output whatever ID is. So this let ID equals use params. So let's go to get character. We're going to I typed today. React router DOM. And so use params is a method or a function or whatever that returns an object. And so all we need to do is do let ID. We're going to equal this to use params and then invoke it like that. And I'm going to do, oh, sorry, I've got to destructure this. So because it returns an object with whatever param you named it on the other page, in this case ID. So we need to wrap that in curly brackets so that it destructures it from use params. So, and this would be the equivalent of doing something like let ID equals use params dot ID. So like that would be a different way of doing it. Why is it a let instead of a const? I don't know. I didn't write it. All right. So now notice how this is already get character 1. I can click on home, go to Morty. It's get character 2. So we actually have usable data to do something other than get character. You know, I think we need a new slice of state and a new use effect. So use effect, and we're going to do use state. All right, so we go back over to the documentation. They have this wonderful one right here. It says get a single character. So notice how we just need to put the little /2 and we get Morty. So if I just go to this, I got a /1 because we only care about Rick. There you go. Or, we'll say 42. Apparently Big Head Morty is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Any questions so far? Oh, did I lose you guys? Doing pretty good. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is also import Axios from Axios, and you're going to see this exact same pattern as what we have before. So we're going to const, and we're going to call this character. And character. And so if I go over here and I see this is no longer an array. It's just a single object. So we don't have this use state with an array in it. Now we have it with an object. You always want to try to match the type of data that you have. So we'll do a use effect. And the dependency array, which shall remain empty. Don't forget it. Bad things happen when you don't. And we'll do Axios.get. And this time I'm going to use the backticks because I'm wanting to concatenate a string. So in this case, we're going to do this character thing. So do that. And we're going to do $ curly brackets ID. So we probably want to move this up, right, like that. So now we have this ID equals use params. I still think this needs to be a const. Maybe that was just somebody typing quickly or something. We're going to watch it break because I've already broken this how many times today? 4, 5 times at least. All right, cool. So we've got axios.get https rickandmorty.api.com/API/character ID. We need a dot then. And you can shortcut this by getting rid of, that, and it'll be just fine as well. Before I set anything and start blowing things up, you do res.data. And when we go into here, we go to console. Let's refresh. So we've got this get character JSX13. That looks like something that we could literally pass into our character without looping or anything. We just pull up the character and it should work. You can make a different character thing if you wanted, who knows. So let's see here. React app. So instead of doing get character ID, that's kind of boring, right? Let's kind of follow the same pattern. The section that returns a something else. Character, and we're going to pass in character, and we need to import this. So now, of course, it blows up. Let's see, what does the console say? So we did pass in something. We didn't return anything out of that. Oh, we've never set it. Jeez. We need a set character. And we're going to do res.data. Same thing as we have in console log. Save it. Now we should have Morty. So if I go home, we go back to the root route, and we got Rick. So we can switch back and forth just like that Movies app. It's not styled pretty, but you know, same basic concept. So now, what if we wanted to use history? That's the one that confuses most people. So you need, let's use location, use history. All right, so you get to import use history. And then this one's important. This actually has to be a let. Let is bad. Const is bad in this specific case because we're going to need to push to it. And if it's const, you can't push to it. So we can push a path to it. So like, let's say that when somebody clicks a button, it will push a path. So in this case, let me see if I can find where they do the dot push. Nope, that's use route match. Use history. Yeah, see, button on click history dot go back is one of them. But you can also do history dot push, which is the one that I'm going to use, and see if it breaks, since why not? So let's go to here and grams, and we're going to do and this will be a let history. Come on. Yes. And then I'm going to separate this to give me a one of these days I'm going to learn how to type. Only been doing it all my life. Let's see. And so this button click, this is, I'm going to show you where you would use a prevent default. So E stands for event in this case. I'm just lazy, don't want to write out event. So E, I think it's the capital P. Let me look that up. Yeah, it's lowercase p. And then we're just going to put a button in here. And on this, we are going to do button click. Button click. And if I save that, use history is not exported from. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Let's go back to the documentation. No. See if I can find the migration guide. Oh, that's horrible. How did they get away with breaking things so much? Horrible. Migration guide, there we go. All right, so they did a bunch of changes. So like redirects and things like that. So they don't use redirect the same way. Also remove the history dependency from your package JSON. History library is direct dependency of v6. You'll use the use navigate hook. Why do you rename this thing? See below. I'm gonna have to search for that. Use navigate. Fluent Espanol. All right, so use navigate. There we go. So this is the way it used to be. Notice it looks just like what I would normally do. So now it's let navigate equals use navigate, and you just navigate home. Okay, there we go. Do not change things. Use navigate. Do you have any idea how much stuff this breaks on large code bases? And people say, oh, well, we don't like history anymore. No, always learn from history. Do not delete history.
Wouldn't that break so many websites? All because they
Yes.
made these changes.
I'm thinking of like how many things that on very, very, very large Fortune 500 size companies will not be upgrading to React Router version 6 because of this. All right, so yeah. So now we've got use navigate, and that should at least compile, and then we'll use the navigate thing. So let's make sure that the thing did not explode. There is no button. Why is there no button? Not save character, or did we not? Let's get character button. Click me. Why is there no button? Why the button no show up? Yeah, so we got oh, I'm not in. Yeah, there we go. Now we've got a button. So if it's late, it's getting late here. It's almost 11:30 according to my brain. The clock says 10:30. It's wrong. So if I click on click me, we're just going to do an on click. All right, so we're at the bottom. I click me, you push the button. There's 7, you push the buttons. So now I think I can use navigate. Pretty sure. Let's see if it breaks. Navigate. And we're going to go to slash. So we're going to go Rick. Great. Button click. Give me 1 second. I'm going to have to do E. Call back this equals button click E. Right, let's see if that works. So we're going to go back to Rick. So it goes to that, and then it goes immediately back to character because reasons. So let's see here. What is that? Oh shoot, that's because I put it in the wrong place. Ignore me. We're going to get rid of this. I put it in the use effect. It's supposed to be in the button click. So what it's going to do is it's going to prevent default so it doesn't refresh the page. Console log, you push the button, navigate, and I'm going to change this to on submit again. Just see what
Is on submit another JSX?
Yeah, it's
code.
it's on the form actually. So I'm trying to show you the idea on prevent default more than anything actually interesting. So this on submit actually needs to be not on the button, but on the form. And then the button needs to be a type. Okay, so this will do because it's in a form and you click the submit button, it would normally refresh the page because that's its default behavior. So prevent default is going to make it so that it doesn't refresh the page. And you can tell it didn't refresh the page because all of this stuff is still there. Otherwise, when you refresh the page, it all goes away. So if we go to, say, summer and hit the click me button, you'll notice that it says you push the button. However, if we get rid of that prevent default, and don't call me a liar. Let's see if I'm wrong. Been wrong all night. This has been entertaining. So if I click on click me, this should refresh the page and you shouldn't see the you click the button message. Yeah, it did. So I guess they've already got it built in somewhere in the latest one, but prevent default in earlier versions of React, you have to use this prevent default. So I guess you don't anymore. So we're just going to remove that. But that's the syntax on if you're running an ancient version of React, which might be in some of your projects, just FYI. All right, so let's see here. So click me. Yeah. That's just another way of, going home. Thank you for switching to React Router 6. All of your stuff is now broken. Everything you just learned today is out of date. It's horrible. Fun times. All right, any questions, comments, concerns? QA time is on.
I got nothing. You did a great job. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much for your time, Brian.
You're very welcome. And I guess I'm going to stop recording. And I'll sharing first and then recording.